Apparently it got pretty cold overnight because that's frost.
And good morning, guys. Yes, it is still morning. Feeling a lot better today. Not 100% obviously, but I think the worst of it is over at this point. If it's a bell curve, I'm definitely on this side of it, so things are getting better. So far today, I've just been sort of doing day job stuff, having meetings and dealing with stuff, as well as sort of hanging out with Nick Offerman by the fire, right? This is something I found just extremely entertaining. I don't know what it is about it. It's 45 minutes of Nick Offerman sitting in front of a fireplace. It's Nick Offerman's Yule log. If I can remember, I'll put a link down in the description, but I'm sure you guys have probably already seen it. I actually just saw a tip from Anthony over on Twitter about using Blackmagic Design Resolve 12. Not familiar with it. I'd heard of it, I think, from Dave Dugdale, and I think he mentioned that it was used for color correction. But I looked it up, and apparently it's a full-featured non-linear video editor, which is what I use. So I figured I'd download that and give that a shot too. We're not going to make this entire video about video editing again though, so moving on. Well, that's been a bit of an up and down. Had lunch, been working on stuff all afternoon. Actually took a little bit of time to take the Droid Turbo 2 around and do some video samples with it, because while I shot the entire video using it, that's all well and good, but taking it into different scenarios, low light, outdoor, walking, those are things that I think are really necessary. So I shot 1080p front facing, 1080p rear facing, and then 4K rear facing, walking around through the house. I also shot a couple of 1080p HDR on, off, and auto just to see if there's a difference between them. But to go back to the other direction, the up and down, I got a call from my parents. They're gonna be on their way here shortly. They're going out to visit the grandparents before they come here. But they said apparently my cousin, who lives in the area, but unfortunately I don't see him terribly often, he's in the hospital. He's having some sort of a surgery. They said something about him having cancer in his stomach, and he's 5 years younger than me. So, I mean, it's completely thrown me off here. I'm definitely going to have to try to find out which hospital he's in, if he's going to be in there long term, and try to make it some time to go see if he's okay and spend some time with him. Anyway, I've got to get back to work. So many things to do. Also, just as a by-the-by kind of thing here, I did go ahead and pull down DaVinci Resolve, as I mentioned earlier, Anthony mentioned it. So far, it doesn't look terrible, but from what I've read, apparently DaVinci Resolve does not work with the Shuttle Pro. I looked over on Shuttle Pro's website to see if they had a config file for it so that I could just import that and use it, and apparently Blackmagic has completely blocked their driver from accessing DaVinci Resolve, which is kind of a stupid move, but I would assume that Blackmagic has some sort of a hardware device similar to the Shuttle Pro that they're wanting to market, so it makes sense and it doesn't at the same time. I may give it a shot and see if Shuttle Pro will work with it, and if not, just delete it. There's no reason to work with it if it won't work with my hardware. Alright, slightly later in the day, got the Droid Turbo 2 video edited. I thought I had finished editing it before, but apparently I didn't. I thought I'd finished editing just the stuff that came out of the phone. Anyway, I've got the 3 sample videos that I mentioned earlier uploading. I think 2 of the 3 are actually up and ready to go. I just have to hit make them public. And I am now fully rendering the Droid Turbo 2 video. I think because I'm mixing so many different types of footage or something, it's taking longer to complete. So it's let's see, almost a 7-minute video, and it's gonna take in the neighborhood of 15 minutes to complete, maybe even more. I'm at 40% at almost 6 minutes. So yeah, probably about 15 minutes. Anyway, you know, it's a video that I'm not gonna be doing terribly often. I'm not gonna be spending a whole lot of time doing 4K, but it's still nice to know that it is an option that is available. And much more importantly, the stuff that I've been doing for my day job, I've finished it up as much as I can for right now, and I'm pushing it out to the servers. I've notified the other guys about it, you know, hey, there's some stuff out there, can you test it when you have some time? Let me know what you need, things like that. What a day. And I've still got this massive, nasty mess in the middle of the floor I've got to deal with. Actually, speaking of the nasty mess, one of the items here on the floor, the backpack for the Phantom 3, which of course still in the box. But that item may not end up getting a huge amount of use. The company I told you about last night, Nanook, I emailed them back and they actually responded to me overnight, which was kind of surprising. A lot of times these companies will email me and then I'll never hear back from them again. But when I emailed them, I said, well, looking over your lineup, you've got a lot of amazing things out there, but of all the things that you've got, I wouldn't mind looking at the one for the Osmo or the one for the Phantom 3, because he said something about pick one. Well, he replied back and said, how about we send you both? Okay, not gonna say no to that. So I told him what colors I was interested in. Hopefully they'll ship them out and we'll see what happens with them, which means I do need to get the Phantom 3 unboxed, in the air and going, so that I can actually have it ready for when it's time for the case to show up. And actually, I've immediately hit a wall with my new computer. And the wall is that it's got a 256 gig built-in SSD, and these files are really, really big. So I've got less than 50 gigs of available space now. So I have to get storage connected to it. The original plan was to take the 1.5 terabyte drive, stick them in the Drobo, and then use the 5 terabyte as backup. I really wanted to swap that out and do all 5 terabyte drives in the Drobo and then use the 1.5 as backup, just because those are older drives and I would really rather use the older drives as, oops, something really bad happened, rarely ever touch those. But it looks like that's not gonna happen because I haven't been able to find really good deals on 5 terabyte drives yet. So for the time being, I think I'm gonna go ahead and move the 5 terabyte drive over just so I can immediately start using files again and have longer term storage. I'm gonna try to get everything in sync because I have a lot of projects still on my older desktop that I have to move over to the new desktop so that I don't lose things. And then I'm gonna also take time and get the Drobo unboxed and get the one external drive that I have to actually remove from its enclosure, the other one that's already out of the enclosure, and the one that's in my old desktop, put those 3 into the Drobo just so I can get up and going. Well, finished rendering, stupid mistake. There's a little slider bar here that defaults back to right in the middle anytime I choose it. Right in the middle on a 4K clip is 100 megabits per second. I do have a device that's 4K that will do 100 megabits per second, but I don't do that because that takes up a lot of space and hasn't really been necessary for what I'm doing. The Droid Turbo 2 does 55 megabits per second, so there's no sense rendering it to 100. You can't really do that. So I came out of it with a 5 gigabyte clip, which is beautiful, don't get me wrong. However, I am rendering it down to 30 megabits per second now, so the weird thing though is it's a 6-minute 40-second clip, and it's gonna take about the same amount of time. It took about 13 minutes total to render, and then a little more time to actually finish saving the file, because 5 gigs. But this time it's saying that's gonna take about 13 minutes. Just very weird to see that the difference between 30 megs and 100 megs is next to nothing. Weird. Boo! And a dog.
Rose! Hi, Papa.
Hey, Dad. How are you?
And Doctor's home. And Mommy's home. And Ginger. So we decided to do Thai food for dinner tonight, starting with the crab rangoon. Good decisions were made. Pad Thai chicken, 10 stars. And the garlic chicken. And Duncan's gonna do some rice, because that's what he does. None for you. Star. You got food too, eventually. Won't for long. It was a hard-fought battle, but I defeated it. We stopped by a store, and now I am super duper tempted. It's obviously not big enough, but yeah, that's tempting. Time to open today's Advent book.
Yes.
Our Advent present that Mommy spoiled. What are you barking at? What do you want? It's time to play. We're gonna have to teach you how to tear into presents. Rip it, but don't rip the book.
Oh, Captain Underpants again.
It's not the same one though, is it?
No.
It's a different one.
Which one is it?
I don't know. Captain Underpants and the
Preposterous plight of the
principal
It's a color. What is that?
purple potty pool
People.
people.
The purple potty people.
But for now, we've got to attack the tree.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to take it down, chop the bottom off, get some water to it, or else it's gonna die. So we did the thing to the tree. You saw that. Rewarding myself with a little bit of a snack. I bought some Stroop waffles when we were out earlier. They had them at, there's a store called Big Lots, and they have a whole international food section, and in that section usually they have a lot of international candies. In this case, Stroop waffles. They had cookies from Sweden, they had Jaffa cakes, all sorts of stuff like that. So this is pretty good. It's caramel and something else. And well, the facepalm is strong with this one. I've been sitting here editing the vlog footage so far. I've got it all up to this point edited, so like 9 minutes or so. And while I've been sitting here editing, I've been having emails come in every couple of minutes, and there's a theme. It's all of my quadcopter videos, specifically all of the ones surrounding GearBest. And it's all the exact same comment from the exact same person over and over and over again. It's a guy named Jamie who's saying that he's waited 3 weeks for his item to be sent. Basically, he placed an order on GearBest site. He had a deadline he had to meet, and it didn't happen because they haven't shipped his item yet. The problem is he ordered the item, and I'm pretty sure he did free shipping, and free shipping from China takes 3 to 4 weeks at least. He's saying that they say on their site it's not even shipped yet though, and so of course my immediate reaction, well, the first thing, of course, there's like 9 or 10 of these comments that have come through so far. They all immediately got marked as spam. YouTube saw them as the exact same comment and just wiped them all out, so no one will ever see any of them. But just to give it a fair shake, I unmarked one of them as spam. I unflagged it, and I replied to him and I said, you know, I'm sorry to hear that you're having problems, but your issue would probably be best answered by going to GearBest's site and hitting their support option. Here, have a link. You know, just trying to be helpful. And he said that that's not the point. The point is that he wants to make sure that people who are seeing these kinds of videos, who are being swindled into going to GearBest, will know that GearBest is a terrible site. And it's like, YouTube is still marking them as spam. Unless I manually go through and tell them that they're not spam, they're not gonna ever be seen by anybody. And you know, as much as I feel bad for the guy, and I am gonna leave that one comment out there unless he just decides to be rude to me, I'm not gonna go through there and help him slander GearBest, a company that has been good to me. And the one time that I did have an issue with a GearBest order, I put in a support ticket, and within a day or two, the support ticket was cleared up and a new package was shipped my way and has shown up. So I've never had a long-term support issue with GearBest. Just saying that. And just goes to show that all you gotta do is be nice to people. When the guy said that his entire point was just to tell people how GearBest service is bad, I said, all right then, got it. Have a good day. Good luck on your crusade. And he said, thank you for your review service. It helps many like me explore more options. And that is one of the good things about doing things the way that I've been doing it. I'm not dedicated to one company or another, nothing exclusive, nothing paid, so I don't have to worry about offending one person or another. But in this case, because I do review things from GearBest and Banggood and Lightake and Everbuying and however many other sites I've reviewed for at this point, you do sort of get to see what options are out there that you may have missed one way or another. And I just got a message from my wife, who is literally 30 yards away. And you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for tonight. Nothing else really going on. Pretty much everyone else has gone to bed at this point, and I would like to do so as well. So, as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for spending the day with us. Sorry this vlog was a bit short, but there wasn't a whole lot that happened. No need to make it longer than it needs to be. We'll see you again tomorrow.